are now tuned into the Standard Podcast, where leadership meets accountability, and the standard is never lowered. You are now tuned into the Standard Podcast, where leadership meets accountability.
Right now.
Right now. Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Right now.
Check it out.
It's hot.
Right now.
Right now. Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Right now.
Check it out.
It's hot.
Right now.
Right now. Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Right now.
Check it out.
It's hot.
Right now.
Right now. Right.
Hey, do you know what today is? Today is the day to raise the standard. You know, many of us in this walk of life, we're on the same track, but running in a different lap. You know, life can look so vague at times, comparing our successes, our wins, and our losses, looking what someone else is doing, thinking that they're moving ahead, when actually, we don't know what it cost them to get there. You know, as I reflect on my own journey, there have been moments where I can be honest and say, you know, I looked at someone else's gains, looked at their successes, and thought, wow, why not me? But today I want to encourage you that sometime we can all be running the same race, but in a different lane. So today, we're going to dive into a message that I was able to speak before the youth at my ministry. And I believe this will bless each and every one of you that tunes in today. So be encouraged, be strengthened, and live the standard. This is the standard.
I just want to talk to you today, and it's not going to be long, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, however God leads. But I don't want to rush it because I think it's something in depth that we can get from this. So I'm going to ask my volunteers, Brother Ken, come on, y'all come on up. I think I gave one more. Okay, he's in the booth. That's okay. I got Daquan. All right, now I don't say, you know, my goodness, he's wasting time, but actually it pertains to the message. So when I was presented with this, I was presented with same track, but different laps. Okay. Same track, but different laps. Okay, I like that. But if any of you ever ran sports, whether it's in PE or you ran in high school or collegiately, you know that the main goal is you got to what? Stay in your lane. Now, many of you know my daughter runs track and field. She's one of the top in Broward County. She is a mid-distance runner, so which is different from being a sprinter. So with mid-distance, she runs the 400 and the 800 meters. So it means that with the 800, she has to go around the track twice. With the 400, she has to go around the track once, okay? While still not breaking her stride, okay? So, but one thing I've learned by being at track meets at 4 o'clock, on Tuesdays and in the hot sun, sweating and waiting for them to run, is that all of them have a certain training regimen that they do. They all have a specific thing that they do to warm up and prepare themselves. Now, some prepare themselves better than others, some poorly than others. But however, they all have something that they do to prepare themselves for the track meet. Some have headphones in, some are listening to music, some are walking around, engaging in conversation with everybody else other than staying focused on the race at hand. And many of them get caught that way. So what I learned about watching everybody at the track is that everybody might be on the same track, but not everybody is in the same lap while they're on the track. So one might be finishing strong, the other one might just be getting started, and the other one might get stuck on what they call the curve. So just to illustrate what I'm talking about, for some of you who don't understand the metaphor, so I'm just going to say on my mark, get set, go, and they're just going to illustrate this for you. But there's something I want you to pay attention to those who are illustrating this. Be very specific of what you watch, and I'm going to ask you, what did you notice? Okay? On your mark, get set, go. Now, as they're running, as a mid-distance runner, you start out, keep going, you keep going, but one might give out. In the process of going around, their goal is to go around the track. If you're a mid-distance runner, you got to go around the track, and your goal is not to just stay in pace, but to try and pass or keep the same pace to get to the finish line. Last lap. Home stretch. Now I'm going to ask you, y'all can turn around, face them. He made it. Now, if you notice, one was finishing strong. But initially, she started out, okay, so what did you all notice? Let me ask you, what did you notice? What happened? What did you notice? When they started, what did you notice? She started in first, and she was ahead. But DJ overlapped her. And it wasn't because she wasn't fast enough to maintain the pace, it's because she looked at DJ, and DJ was coming. She looked back. See, the quickest way to loot, thank you all for your participation. Appreciate it. Give it up for them. See, the quickest way for you to lose the race is when you look back. We all have a starting place in life. We all have somewhere we're going. We might start in first. You might be in the first lane. Anybody knows that you have 8 lanes on a track. And if you're a mid-distance runner, you don't want to be caught on the outside lane, which is lanes what? 6 through 8. Because that's the most difficult lanes to come around the curve. So what happens is that you want to be between the first and the 4 lanes. So now just because I'm in the first lane, as you saw Taylor, doesn't mean that I necessarily may maintain first position. But it may be somebody that's in the 3rd place or in the 3rd lane that may overlap me along the way. But here's the thing. You can't get caught on the curve. And that's how life is. Sometimes life catches us on the curve. We start out straight and we're going. You got the right pace, the right tempo, and all of a sudden you're going. And it's not the first curve that gets you. It's when you get to the second curve. Because you've already exerted so much energy, so much effort to get through the first curve. But now what do you have left to get you through the back stretch of the curve? And so what happens is, and I see this all the time, I've noticed that when they're running and they're going, and you can have somebody, out there, and you say, man, my goodness, man, they're going to hot this. And then you see the same person in stride, don't look like they broke a sweat yet. And when they get to the second lap, that same person that took off, you see them on the first curve or on that second curve, and they're struggling. They've what they call it burnout. They've completely burnt out, and they gave it everything they got in the first 200 meters. So now that person that's in 5th position or in the 5th lane subsequently now starts coming up. And now what you see is you start seeing that person catch up and pass the person that was in ahead. Now, if they're good enough, that person that surpassed them, they're going to keep it on the stretch, which is to the finish line. So the curve is typically something that we find ourselves that you'll hear a coach that says, okay, you're coming around the curve, and you hear this statement, lean into it. And the more that they keep going, and why do I lean into it? Because if I lean into it, I'm able to catch the curve and ride the curve around. But if I'm wide, what happens is I get too wide and I end up, because I'm too wide and I didn't lean into it. So a good trainer would tell you, lean into the curve. And there's moments in my life, I don't know about yours, but that I've had to not just take the curve, but I had to lean into the position in the arms of Christ. See, it's easy when everything is going well and it's a straightaway. Everything looks good when it's a straightaway because you can see the finish line. But what happens when your life has to hit the curve? Hell breaks loose, struggles start to happen. Money gets funny. You lose a job. You don't know if you're going to graduate on time. You don't know what school you're going to. You're looking at everything on social media because it looks like they're moving ahead, but really they're behind. Yes. But there's moments that I've had to do something in which I had to lean on the arms of Jesus. So that's why you hear the coach saying, lean into it. And that's life. So some people, they graduate. We got some that are seniors and getting ready to go off to college. And, some graduate and they immediately go off to college. Some people, they graduate and they enter the workforce. Some people, they graduate and they battle depression immediately. Then you have some people, they start a business. Others, they're still trying to figure out who they are. And some people, if you keep looking hard enough, it'll look like they're successful online, but offline, their life is empty. Come on. Yes. Same track, but a different lap. we're coming from in Hebrews, and I'm sorry I didn't give this passage first, and let me go back, give you from Hebrews 12:1. Now, there's a little bit further in reading in Hebrews 12:1, but I just want to grab from the phrase that says, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Hence why I'm speaking about running. In this, the writer Paul wants to encourage us that, this Christian walk is more like a not a marathon, but I'll just say a race. It's like a mile race. It's not a sprint where you just sprint all out and you go through the stretch away. No, it is a race to finish to the end. So there's three things that I want you to notice in this where it says, let us run with endurance, the race that is set before us. Three wordings to look out for. The first one is run with endurance, the race, and set before us. Three key components. Run with endurance, the race, set before us. Now, when you run with endurance, that means to have determination to keep working or keep moving without quitting. Even when there's suffering, even when there's obstacles. Now, if I had hurdles around here, you would see that those are the obstacles for a track runner. They don't have just the straightaway lanes that they're running in for a hurdle. They got to run over the hurdle. And there's issues in some of our lives that we might find that may be a hurdle. And you have to have the proper training, but also the proper endurance to keep running, go over the hurdle, and keep on going. Again, same track, but different lap. Now, the race, that impedes that's the course of life that God has uniquely designed for us. The race. I can't run yours, and you can't run mine. I can't run his. He can't run yours. There is a unique race that God has already, a course of life that God has already positioned you for, and only you can run that race. So God has designed you for the race, but you can't run your friend's race. You can't run your ex's race. You can't run your best friend's race. You can't run your favorite social media influencer's race. You are called to only run your race. And I know in school, sometimes that comes a little difficult because we see it looks like everybody is excelling and they're doing this and they're involved in this club and they're involved in this organization and look like they're moving so far ahead. It's like, okay, but what about me? What about my turn? You can't be envious of somebody else's race because there's one that is specifically designed just for you. So stop comparing your start to someone else's middle. Social media, social media is social media. Their job is to convince you, this generation, that if you're not having sex before you graduate high school, if you're not engaged by 23, having a business by 27, if you're not fully healed and fully, what can I say? If you're not fully healed or fully delivered overnight, then you're not where you're supposed to be. False. The devil is a liar. That's not the truth. See, God has not called us to compare ourselves to others in their timelines and their reels. And now you got this thing called Instagram Instants, and I can't figure that out. But however, you're not called to compare or compete against those things. See, Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us that to everything there is a season. Now, I'm going to give you another example. There is a powerhouse that they call Dillard High School. I'm sorry, Daquan, Dillard High School. I'm a Tiger, but it's a powerhouse. Now, he just had to get that in. But hear me on this. Dillard High School has the #1 public school track program in all of Broward County. It's been like that for quite a while. Now, the thing about this is that it doesn't matter And I'm going to tell you how they start, Pastor. Let me tell you what they do. Is that, and I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, right? So my daughter comes out her freshman year. She's running 800. But in the other lanes next to her is Dillard High School, Dillard High School, Dillard High School, Boyd Anderson, and all the rest. Okay? That's the field. Now, let me tell you what's odd about this, and you say, well, goodness, why they got so many people in? Well, in the race, she's the freshman. She's a freshman. But for Dillard, you got 8th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader. The field is stacked with all upperclassmen, but you got underclassmen in the race. Now, what I notice about them is that they just don't wait till you come to high school to start developing you. But they start developing you along the process. So what happens is even though we're in a high school meet, Dillard High School 8th graders are coming in first, second, third. Now, of course, my daughter, she's very competitive. As most of y'all know, she don't like losing. So when the race is over, she's like, man, something ain't right. How did all three of them beat me? And we looking at, wow, they started ever since they was in 6th grade. The training and development started early. And it didn't stop. The same people that was coaching the high school had involvement in the local track and field organizations. They just carried over to the high school. So what am I saying is that some blessings or some things take a season. Now what happened is my daughter had to go through her turn. Her sophomore year, it was, okay. Junior year, just completely tanked. Dealt with an injury, tried to run on the injury, made matters worse. Now those same 8th graders are now 10th graders. Some 11. Here she is going through her 11th grade year, and it's like, man, this ain't happening. Got to regionals, and the coaching got bad, and they don't want to run. We all and Brother Mike can attest. We all the way in Melbourne and different, and they decide they're not going to run the girls. But because how competitive she is by nature, she says, y'all don't want it bad enough. And I know that might sound like, what do you mean by you say, no, hear what I said. She said to her teammates and to the coaches, y'all don't want it bad enough. I'm going to say that one more time. She said her teammates and the coaches. How many times, Daquan, you was on the field and it's a close game and you know that y'all need 1 point or a field goal. You need to push that line just 3 yards or maybe an inch. And sometimes somebody got to tell them, say, hey, man, y'all don't want it bad enough. Yes. And I don't know about some of you and some of y'all young people where y'all stand with your relationship with Christ, but for some of us, we don't want him bad enough. Come on. He's the ultimate person that can change the trajectory of your life, the pattern of your life. But you got to want him bad enough. Hey, listen, I'm not saying you got to be perfect because you won't be perfect. There is obstacles along the way. There are hurdles. There are some steps and some stumbling blocks. But in the midst of that, you still got to lean into him and want him bad enough. See, you're still in high school and you're along the way. You're still in high school and you're in high school and you're off to college. But even in college, it's a different level. You know what I'm saying? You ain't around mama no more. You're not around your church family. You ain't around the coaches here. You're not around your friends. Now it's me and God. And if I want God to take me to the next level, I got to now depend on him and lean into him. I know Pastor Love, Helen Miller, she liked that song, Jesus said, if you lean on me, I won't let you fall. But it sounds cliche, but it's true. So in Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says everything is a season. So when she got to her senior season, although she didn't have the numbers that she needed in her junior year, well, what did we do? Well, something got to give. We having coaching problems at the school. Okay, the team having problems trying to put a team together. Half of them won't show to practice. Okay, it's time to move. Senior year, but it's time to move. Because there's a path that is set before you that it's time to go. So we move to a different school, to the competitive Northeast, okay? And now, the first meet, who does she see? Blanche Ely High School. The same school she just left. The same school that she had a good season her freshman year, but a breakout season her sophomore year and tanked junior year. Now, so as dad is walking, what do I hear? Oh, man, you got to go for her. You know what I'm saying? Now, it ain't about Blanche Ely trying to win the track meet. It's about them just trying to beat her. So, first track meet, and she's gone. She's going. Now, mind you, yes, Blanche Ely is there, but her mind wasn't focused on Blanche Ely. Her mind was focused on, I got to beat Dillard High School. Because Dillard High School is what? The staple. That's the powerhouse. So if I just helped you out just then. So in her mind, if I don't beat the powerhouse, then I'm really not, that's my bar. My bar ain't Blanche Ely because I already surpassed Blanche Ely. I got to beat the powerhouse. And if I beat the powerhouse, then I know that the scouts are coming. Then I know that the offers are coming. That was her mindset. So the first meet, she goes out and she kills the time. Now, mind you, we did some training over the summer. Had a different trainer, went through some off-season training, and she trained herself, prepared herself. Got through that first meet, and she was running a 2:38 to 2:40. Now, if any of you know, when it comes to Division I on a track to get a D1 scholarship, 2:38 is too slow. It's too slow. So through training and everything, got to new school, the first meet, she's blowing past Ely. Dillard High School is right there. And when they come through the finish line, you got Trenasia, Dillard High School, Blanche Ely. 2:32 for Trey, 2:38, 2:39, 2:40. So from the first meet, she makes the time. Get to the second meet, she makes the time again. Now, it's no longer Blanche Ely saying, you got to watch it. Now it's Dillard High School. Hey, y'all got to keep up with her. Y'all can't let her pass you. Because now she's shown the powerhouse. She's arrived in this moment. It's her season. Yes. And see, some blessings that you are waiting for, some blessings, as you would say, Sister Floyd, is microwaved, and some blessings are slow cooked in a crock pot. And any cookers in here that know anything that slow cooks in a crock pot tastes what? Better. Tastes a lot better. Yes. See, there's some things that God puts in the crock pot just for you. I know you're frustrated, but you know the young people, what that thing you say, let him cook, let him cook. You got to let God cook this thing sometime. I know we want it fast, quick, easy, quick fix, press the button, 30 seconds, it's done, but that ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. There's some things, David, that God just wanna slow cook for you. Not that it ain't your time, it's just the season ain't there yet. Slow cook it, slow pace. And that's his way of telling you, I'm still developing you. See, Moses, if you look at some of the stories, right? Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he was called to lead. David was called to be king before he even wore the crown. Joseph had dreams before he was given the authority to even approach the king. So what am I saying? Even though some things seem delayed for a time, doesn't mean that it's denied to you. It's just that some things have been slow cooking. And sometimes when God has placed his anointing over your life, it ain't microwave, it ain't rushed. Sometimes you gotta let that thing marinate. Huh, Lady Stephanie, am I right? Some things gotta marinate overnight. Some things a little longer, ribs, that's nice. You can throw a slab of ribs and you season it and put it on the grill. But any grill master know that you got to marinate that thing. Falling off the bone. Marinate. So what am I saying is that's how God is operating. God wants to bless you and give you everything your heart's desire, but don't rush for it just like, the foolish son did. Just wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. So, this generation, like if we be on this generation and us, right, we live through the lenses of the screens behind the scenes. The lenses of the cell phone, the lenses of the iPad and the tablet and the computer, and we watch what people put on social media, what they're doing and how it looks. You know how it is. Well, this person went on a vacation. Well, why I can't go on vacation? Well, this one just bought a house. Well, man, where my house coming? This one just went to, this one seemed like they just, became the head of this organization. Well, man, when my hard work going to pay off? And we're watching the lenses of social media and behind the scenes. Well, Galatians told us that, says in Galatians 6:4, tells us that each one should test their own actions without comparing it to themselves or someone else. Now, so what am I saying? God is not grading them against you. He's grading you against your obedience. So it's not that you won't get to the promise of what God has for you. It's like, okay, are you willing to obey to get it? Just like a track runner. As he said, we're running this race that's set before you. The lanes are already there. The numbers are already there, which lane to be in. Now, when you get to the race, are you going to follow the training that you went through all week? Sometimes with runners, they have to go dip their body in ice baths because they had such strenuous workouts during the week. So now the legs are sore and they need to recover. So for a part of their recovery, they got to stick their body into their lower body into the ice barrel. You ever had to do that? Yeah, for recovery. And so, Pastor saying, oh yeah, him too. Probably still now. Yeah. But listen, that is a part of enduring the race. Is that the lanes are there. The race is set, but you got to go through the process to get to the finish line of the race. The goal isn't to start fast, but it's to finish faithfully. Anybody can sprint to get the applause, because if you go to the races, and Marlena, you're a track parent. David, you ran track. I used to run track, believe it or not. I did, before the shin splints. But see, I didn't have the same training. See, I ran at a private school. We didn't have the same training. I'm at county meets against Dillard, B.A., Blanche Ely, the shortest thing out there. And I'm running 100. And I was good for the first 50. But by the next 50, all I seen was thighs. I was quick, I was fast, but I wasn't that fast. That was a different level. So anybody, they can sprint for the applause, because, the 100 meters is like, that's the highlight race. The 100 meter, the 100 relay, the 4x1 relay, the 4x4 relay, that's the highlight reels. And everybody stand up in there applaud. Yeah. Because it's exciting. It's a straightaway. But then those same runners don't run the distance. There's some people in your circle, they've been sprinting. And they've been going. It looked fast-paced, Daquan. They've been going. They've been moving. Same track, but a different lap. The process wasn't the same for you. And the process ain't the same for you. You and your friends, all y'all on the same track, but it's a different lap that we in. And if you stay the course of what your mom and dad is telling you, of what you're receiving from the word of God through pastor and the preachers and the counsel here, through those who giving you wise counsel, not somebody that's the same age as you trying to tell you what you should do and they ain't been there before. Because sometimes that's where we mess up. We listen to the friends who are our peers, our same age, and then we're and we're listening to them and they're in our ear. Man, listen, you should do it like this because, if you do this that way, it's going to be this way. And when have you vetted their process? To be like, okay, you telling me this, but did it work for you yet? But by staying the course, you end up right where God wants you to be. So endurance is that thing that's built privately. See, the endurance ain't built when you get to the track meet. You're there to compete. But the endurance is when you're in practice and you're learning the technique. You're learning to put, there's a young guy, we call him Scrub because he may be watching because I told him about the day service, so he may be watching. So I'm going to say Scrub. I won't say Willie, but Scrub. Oh, did I? Oh, okay. My bad, Willie. But we call him Scrub. And Scrub, if you look at him, he stands 6'2", 6'3", slender frame, lanky, long. He runs the 400-meter hurdles and the 110 hurdles. Now, the problem that he had his first through third year is that every time he came out the block, he slips. And now at that point, he's trying to catch up. And so it don't matter what he can have a great practice the day before, good run through, but the moment, slipping out the track. Even though somebody's there holding the track, holding the block, he's still slipping. But then he got with the proper technique, started bringing his arms in more because he transferred schools, and I'm not going to say the school name no more, but he transferred schools. And he transferred schools, and as he transferred schools, now the technique changes. Now, from seeing himself coming in dead last place, he's now coming in first place every single track meet. Because his training shifted. And that's how things is when you're talking about the endurance. See, your endurance and what you go through privately, your training got to change privately. Meaning, in other words, sometimes I got to pray a little differently. I got to pray a little longer. I got to go and worship a little harder. I got to praise a little longer. I got to praise my way through some situations until the change happens. It may look like I'm surrounded, but still I got to go through it. And that's the same thing with a runner. You got to go through some things, but sometimes you got to change your training mechanism. That may mean you got to go down on your knees a little longer. Stay there a little longer. Call out to God just a little longer until he answers. So now he's coming in first. There's a statement that says, 2 Timothy, and I don't quote me on the verse in the scripture. 2 Timothy says, I fought the good fight and I finished my course or the race. But yet in the process of that, there's a statement that says, and I have kept the faith. See, the flex isn't about the popularity that comes along with what you're doing. The flex is that while you're going through the process, you kept the faith. Your friends still see you loving God. Even when it got tough, Georgia. They still see you standing. Even when you got off course, Maya. They still see you praying. Even when it seemed like I may have taken a loss, Marlena. But they still see you believing in all of it. And just like any runner, the runner has to continue, and that's how life is. You got to continue running this race in spite of everything that's thrown against you. So my challenge to you, or my plea to you, is that although you may you may, feel behind. Maybe you thought that it would look different by now. Things would be different. It'll look different. Maybe life would look differently had I made this choice or made this decision. Because you see everybody around you moving and getting ahead. But I want you to know that you're not behind. You're just on God's timing. There's, in that, there's a couple of companies they call dedicated timing and mile timing. And I said, wow, mile timing. Because sometimes we look at the time and we think that, man, if it don't happen right now, it got to happen in 3 months. I need this to do in 2 months. This has to happen next week. And sometimes God said, no, it's not your timing. It's on my time. You're on the same track, but you're in a different lap. And if you just keep running and endure, well, your season, or where I say your due season, will come. So what am I going to leave you with, young people, is stay in your lane. As you saw in the illustration, stay in your lane. Don't get caught looking behind, because the moment you start doing this, someone's passing you. Trust God on the pace, because you're not running someone else's race. You're running yours. That's what you train for. It's to run your race. Trust God's pace. Trust his timing. And know that the race is not given to the swift, neither to the strong, but to them that hold out and endure till the end. God bless you, young people. I just want to talk to you today, and it's not going to be long, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, however God leads. But I don't want to rush it, because I think it's something in depth that we can get from this. So I'm going to ask my volunteers, Brother Ken, come on, y'all come on up. You start there. Yeah, turn. It's going to go. Yeah, I'm going to start going to your right. Okay, you're forward.